Redditors who married someone with an identical twin sibling. Why are you glad you're not with the other twin instead? Story time. I'm an identical twin. We still look so much alike, and one night I spent the night at her house. She and I fell asleep in the same bed because we were up late talking, etc. Her husband slept on the couch. The next morning my twin went to take a shower and her husband laid down on the bed with me, thinking it was her of course. I jokingly said, "Hey sailor, looking for a little variety?" He shot off the bed and said if I was looking for variety, "Do you think I'd choose you?" Lol, this reminds me of a time when I was younger at a school dance. My boyfriend at the time picked my identical twin up accidentally instead of me because we wore the same outfit and looked identical from behind. She was shocked and he was so embarrassed and I was absolutely dying of laughter. Being a twin definitely causes some funny situations. I didn't marry him, but I dated an identical twin. His twin's girlfriend and I used to joke around that she got the evil twin. He was just a selfish, messed up person. One of the benefits of breaking up with my boyfriend was no longer having his twin in my life. Plus, his ex-GF and I are still great friends. Okay, but did the ex-GF of the evil twin and the good guy get together after you made him available? Nice Christmases with the family they'd have. No, the good guy was just the lesser evil. She wanted to get as far away from that family as I did. The best thing to come out of those relationships was our friendship. My late husband's twin was a non-functioning alcoholic and my husband wasn't. My husband says joining the Navy was what saved him from going down that road. The Navy prevented him from being an alcoholic? Huh. Controlled alcoholism vs wildly uncontrollable alcoholism. The other twin has the same personality as I do. We argue readily and are super competitive towards each other. We butt heads on a lot of issues. Freud would have a blast with your partner's partner choice. He'd probably stroke his beard and do a lot of cocaine about it. I like my wife's personality better than her sister's. It's almost as if twins are two different people. Sid is a twin myself. I know someone with a twin and it takes less than 3 seconds of talking to each to know which is which, if you couldn't already tell by their facial expressions. I work with a guy who married an identical triplet. One of the triplets also works with us. I asked him one day if it's weird working with someone who looks just like his wife. He got a little pissed and basically said they are all very different people and he doesn't see much of his wife in her. I mean, they are adults. They probably have different haircuts, different fashion style, different makeup or glasses. If you don't know them well, they might blur together. But when it's your partner or friend, you know the nuances and they are very obvious. I don't know many adult twins, but I assume that they stop dressing identically as soon as their parents let them pick their own clothes. My dad's an identical twin. People have a hard time distinguishing them, but to my mom and me, they look like two completely different people because of the way they walk/talk/etc. Obviously my mom only fell in love with this one person. When you love someone it's actually pretty easy to tell identical twins apart. I went to elementary school with a set of identical twins. Didn't see them again till college. Ran into one in the bookstore. Called her name. She was first shocked to see me, but secondly very shocked I still knew which twin she was. I never had trouble telling them apart, even though everyone else did. Lol, she still looked like herself. IDK, what else to say? Edit. Some folks are assuming I'm either a gay female or a straight male and was picking up on her. I'm a bisexual female, but she was just a homie from childhood and I was not trying to flirt or impress her. Have not seen her or her twin since I graduated college over a decade ago. Sorry to disappoint. Not me, but my mom is an identical twin. And my dad and uncle were friends before marrying twins. My dad met my mom through my uncle dating her twin. Someone once asked my uncle, "You met both twins when they were single. Why'd you choose that twin?" And he got as far as she's a bit more reserved. I can tell she thinks before she speaks, before looking at both twins and realizing there's no way to continue that sentence or really answer the question at all without getting in some kind of trouble. For what it's worth, my mom definitely was the more talkative when they were younger and she thinks it's a hilarious story then. At my parents' wedding, my aunt and uncle left the reception dinner early because my aunt was due with their child any day and was exhausted. My uncle jokingly said to my dad, "Lucky you. You're marrying the fun twin," before again realizing the stupidity of what he was saying. Lucky for him again. My aunt now thinks this is hilarious. Not so much in the moment. My dad, meanwhile, has never said anything on this topic, except that he loves my mom more than anything, and to retell my uncle's dumb comment still. Doctor never answer this question, Irl Mayo. Edit. Grammar. I used to date an identical twin. Although I found his brother objectively handsome, I wasn't attracted to him at all. It was cool to directly experience how attraction goes far beyond just the looks. Greetings. I'm married to a formerly conjoined identical twin who is now missing an arm. When it comes to cuddling in bed, I have a preference for spooning on the left side. So unexpected and yet so practical. I dated a set of twins, but 15 years apart. I went to a small town college and met this girl, Lily, who was from a larger metro city 200 miles or so away. We ended up dating for just over a year, long enough to meet her family over the holidays. She had an identical twin sister, Anna, who I got along with fine. Things didn't work out, and we parted ways. No hard feelings, no regrets. 15 years later I was working/living in her hometown, and ran into Anna at a steakhouse. We were both on dates, but also not dating the person we were on those dates with. I knew it was Anna immediately, and she remembered me. We said our hellos, and went back to our dates. Throughout dinner we kept catching each other's glances, and eventually met up outside the restrooms. We exchanged numbers, a time before texting, and met up the next day for coffee. We ended up dating for 3 years. Even though they were the mirror image of each other, there was no mistaking who was who. They dressed differently, spoke differently, and had this it factor the other didn't. They each had very unique personalities. I didn't marry either one of them, but the experience dating twins was quite fun. Not me, but my sibling is married to an identical twin. The other twin has a different sexual orientation. Have had the same thing happening with a former colleague. He is an identical twin and gay. His brother is not. The only thing that's weird to me is that his boyfriend also looks exactly like the twins. The straight brother has had a hard time coping with it all, and I can kinda see why. The doppelganger. I've seen it before, but no one in the triangle sees it, usually. We are not married, but known each other since we were 12, and have been together 3.5 years. His twin is a massive dickhead who tried to break us up multiple times. Was madly in love with me in his own words, and after 2 years of pursuing me declared I was a terrible person, and put him through hell, because I didn't break up with his twin brother to date him. Sounds like he needs to get help, not a GF. I dated a twin for 2 years. I could not hold a one-on-one conversion with the other twin to save my life. Edit for a fun story. I dated an identical twin for 2 years. Let's call my BFA and his brother B. Before we started dating, A and B dated a pair of identical twin girls. Let's call them A and BB. After 7 years of dating, A and AA broke up, but B and BB kept dating and recently got married. So now AA is A's sister-in-law. Long story short, you can figure why A is my ex-boyfriend. Did A give AA the D again years later? I see what you did there. I'm the twin in our relationship, but my sister is super square and my husband is very much not. I can't think of two people less compatible, honestly. I'm sure he's physically attracted to her though. Who could blame him, lol JK. My brother-in-law can be really cold and heartless and prioritizes his own comfort over everything else. My husband does not have these traits. That said, brother-in-law has become a lot softer since getting married himself and learning the art of compromise. But still, him and I used to clash a lot. The spare is a cold, selfish, vain bitch. She cares more about her looks than her entire family. The spare is crazy Olmeo. Lol, should call her Cedric. See if she gets the reference. My husband and his twin brother look very different to me. Although they are identical and get mistaken for one another all the time, they couldn't be more different in terms of personality. They have different values and life goals, hobbies, One is introverted and the other is extroverted. If there were two people who didn't look alike, I would automatically not be attracted to my brother-in-law simply because we are not remotely compatible personality-wise. Also, they have very different style. I do not find the way my husband's twin dresses/grooms his hair attractive. It's so wild to me when people can't tell them apart because they couldn't be more different in my eyes. Well, my wife and I have been together for 30 years. She has a mirror twin. Even now, if you don't know them well or interact frequently, you will not be able to tell them apart. They are complete opposites. I married the extrovert. She has never met a stranger, will try anything at least once, and can find a positive aspect in almost everything she encounters. They are also best friends. My wife drags her sister along all the time. Once she's out, she enjoys our activities. I love my sil, all three of them, but so glad I married the one like me. The mirror part even goes for looks. When I see my wife's reflection, I see my sil. It's weird sometimes. Also, attitude and personality are everything. I have never been attracted to her twin. Wow. It's amazing to me, reading all these comments stating that how identical twins seem to, generally, have opposite personalities. Your post here is more confirmation to that. Twins are really cool. I'm an identical twin. I can only imagine how my husband would answer this. At least you know he married you for your personality and not just your looks. /s. Doesn't involve me directly, but here's my favorite twin story. Back in college, I was good friends with identical twin guys. One night one of them was a bit inebriated at the bar making out with a similarly inebriated girl. He excused himself to go to the bathroom, and shortly thereafter his really inebriated brother showed up with another group. 2 seconds later the girl walks up to him, and despite him wearing a completely different outfit, says "There you are," and starts passionately kissing him. He was completely stunned, but was like okay, and went with it. His brother came out of the bathroom, saw what was going on, looked at us laughing, so he just shrugged his shoulders and got another beer. That girl is now his sister-in-law. That's actually very funny. Good story. My best friends are identical twins, and I'm pretty sure their partners will say it's because one is gay and one isn't. Because their personalities are very different. My fiancé is an identical twin. Obviously I can tell them apart after being around them both so often, but I can honestly say I would never date his twin. He's a good guy and I like him as a friend, but their personalities are so vastly different. They like a lot of the same things, but my fiancé has ideals that match mine much more than his brother's. Plus I have plenty of romantic chemistry with my fiancé and none with his twin. Same face, same personality. My wife is also an identical twin. I would not in 1,000 years mix her up with her twin. Their voices sound different for starters. They have completely different facial expressions, even resting face. Their characters are quite different. Actually my wife's twin and me don't really get each other and barely talk. Also, my wife has somewhat bigger, you know what, and also is all around a little curvier, which makes her much hotter to me. I find this with my ID twin toddlers. Totally different expressions, one looks like dad, one looks like me, like you say. Even their resting faces are different and their little voices. I can even tell them apart from the backs of their heads. I honestly forget they are identical as to me. They look completely different. Plus their personalities are complete opposites. It's pretty fascinating how two people can come from on split egg, have the same genes and upbringing, and yet be so different. I have a friend with 2 sets of twin girls, 4 girls, who are like 18 months apart. Each of those girls both look the same and very different at the same time. Small little things like one has a more rounded nose, bigger smile, etc. My wife has an identical twin sister that comes over all the time. They have different clothing and hairstyles and totally different personalities. My wife is more mature and decisive, whereas her twin can't make a decision without consulting others to make it for her. I never was interested in her twin, nor got them mixed up, though others used to mix them up in college. I knew them both too well to mix them up. One of my good friends is an identical twin. You wouldn't be able to tell them apart from each other. I'm not even remotely close to being friends with his brother. because he's an asshole. I mean, I'm divorced from him now, but while I now think my ex sucks, I always thought his identical twin brother sucked. The twin was engaged to someone else who had an 18-month commitment overseas, so they were going to get married when she got back. Upon hearing that his twin brother had gotten engaged to me, and we'd be getting married in the fall, he kept saying, "I can't believe you're getting married before me." A few days later, he sent out an email announcing he was getting married in August. Didn't say anything about the bride. We were like, did your fiancée cancel her plans to go overseas? Nope. He had suddenly proposed to someone else he'd previously dated, and they were now getting married before us. He didn't even tell his first fiancée he was breaking off the engagement. She found out when he sent out the group email announcing his engagement. It's really weird for me to look at the 4 children he had with fiancée #2 and know they owe their existence to him wanting to beat his brother and me down the aisle. Married an identical twin. I love my brother-in-law because I can joke and talk to him in the same way as my husband. They have the same sarcastic sense of humor. He's much more of mama's boy and struggles with anxiety, whereas my husband is a rock. I can't imagine being with his twin instead. Funnily though, people often think his wife is my sister, so maybe they both have a type. I have twin uncles on my dad's side. If they are both clean shaven and don't speak, it's difficult to tell them apart. When they speak it's completely different. One is quiet and precise in what he say. The other uses a lot of 4-letter words and talks loud. For the last 20 or so years one of them has grown his beard and his hair. He looks like Rob Zombie. He even got kicked off his high school football team for being too rough. No one wanted to play against his team because of him. The quiet one played for the STL Cardinals Farm League for a few years. They both spent time in the military. At the same time, I remember always being able to tell them apart. From a young age,